In my observation, I was in a kindergarten class and I had 4 kiddos that I worked with each day. We had a lot of fun and I hope you enjoy their finished product. For my standards, I had a total of 7 that I worked on with the kiddos during the time that I had with them. Because there were 7, I was unable to fit them all on 1 or even 2 pages, so that is why there are 3 pages of my unit standards. Here are the final 3 standards that I have for my unit. When I was looking for assessment criteria on my students' work, I was looking that they had at least 1 sentence about how they felt and 1 sentence about why they felt that way. I also was looking for how they read on their final projects and if they read with expression. Here are my learning targets for day 1 through 3. Day 1, students can listen to a text read aloud and be able to identify the key details from the story. Day 2, students can transfer their ideas onto a piece of paper. In day 3, students can add specific details to their outline, and with guidance, students will revise their outline. Here are my learning targets for day 4 and 5. On day 4, students will draw pictures for each page in their story, and on day 5, with guidance, students will upload their pictures and record their stories. Students will share their final story with the class. These next 3 slides will show a project from my top student. She decided to write about the time that she got to go visit the Sisters of St. Mercy. Students were asked to write a sentence about a time or a place that they went on a trip or an adventure. They then had to state what they did there. I also asked the students to say how they felt when they were there and why they felt that way. The students needed to draw a picture to show support of how they felt when they were on their adventure. This particular student was one of my top students. However, if you noticed in her first sentence, she did not have a complete sentence. In order to help my students that struggled with this, we really worked on forming sentences and worked on different strategies to help them form their complete sentences. We did some word work, we drew pictures and worked on writing sentences, and just by having them speak it out loud helped them write full sentences as well. In order to differentiate my students' success, I was able to sit down with each student and just had them think about how they would say it out loud and then have them translate it onto their paper, which seemed to help some. Others, I had one kiddo that struggled a little bit more, and I really needed to give him specific examples of what he needed to write down. A connection to what I learned about this class and then working with my students was working on spelling. As you can see in my student's example, she definitely had some invented spelling, and even though when they asked how do you spell this word and I said okay, let's sound it out, they still were questioning themselves on if they were choosing the right letter to write down for the sound that it went with. Another connection that I made throughout this class was picking good mentor texts to help guide students in their writing. So the very first day we read Made a Mouse, and it talked about an adventure that the mouse got to go on, which really helped the students be able to figure out what they wanted to use for their own personal adventure as well. I used different mentor texts throughout the week to help build on their sentence writing as well.
The Book of St. Mercy by Lily Elizabeth Brinkman. St. Sisters of Mercy, I ate at their house. I was happy because it was fun. The end.
Summer by Jackson. I like to go to Florida. I went the Tower of Terror. I am terrified because it was 100 feet up. The end.